This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Coming from the 606 Media Studios, this is the TCSF podcast with Big Z. We got No Sweat Serg in the house and JC Dynasty Fantasy Football, our football guru, in the house. What is up, fellas?
How's it going?
Hey, it's just another day in the neighborhood.
Oh, man. Everybody's got nice gear on today. I love it. Episode 170 is brought to you by 606 Media, true Chicago sports fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt and search for keyword True Chicago and get 15% off your entire order with the promo code TrueFan15. Go and get your shirts now. Gentlemen, it's been a week of nonstop news. We got a lot to break down. We have a new Bears OC. We have Cubs news, and we'll get to that right there. If you want to know exactly what it is, we got a clue right behind JC. We also have some Bellinger news, and we'll talk about that. The Sox are flirting with the city in a new location. Zach Lavine is out of commission for a while again, and we have Bulls rumors for trades. The Blackhawks are still to try hard Blackhawks, but we got to start off with football. So let's get into this. Is going to be 3 and out. All right. 3 and out. You know how we do it. 3 main topics and kick it out. JC, we have a new OC, and let's talk about this new guy, man. Where'd he come from, and what does he do, man?
Shane Waldren, offensive coordinator from Seattle, has worked with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and now Jackson Smith and Jigba, has resurrected the career of Geno Smith for the past 2 or 3 years now. Making Geno look pretty darn good. So let's hope he can do the same with Justin Fields or maybe Caleb Williams. We don't know yet.
Right.
But according to PFF, of the 32 teams and coordinators, PFF had Shane Waldren penciled in as the 10th best play caller in the NFL in 2023. So now, granted, the offense did not produce as a top 10, but as for play calling, he was in the top 10. The offense itself was only 1 spot better than the Bears.
Okay, but I mean, we're looking at a different type of quarterback with Geno Smith, a little older quarterback. Correct. But he did kind of resurrect his career there. He also worked with Goff before he was traded off to Detroit. So you've got some notoriety. He's out of that tree, am I correct? Out of the
he's out of the McVay coaching tree. Yeah,
so that's something that the Bears fans should be excited for. You got a dynamic offense, and I really think that this is a really good hire. They haven't announced the money in the years and so forth, but it's looking good. It's looking good.
If Shane Waldren does well with Chicago, I wouldn't even worry about years and contract because he kind of was one of those hot names for potentially a head coaching spot until Pete Carroll got fired and this whole debacle. So, I think he might be a 1 or 2 year OC if he does well, and then he might be looking at a potential head coaching position himself.
I mean, but that's what you want from your program, is to grow guys within and promote them and get them in. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Oh, Serg dropped out. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the only problem is, like I said, you do want a little continuity. Like you don't, you look at the Eagles this year, they lost their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
Yeah, they fired him.
And they went from, Super Bowl to out in the first round.
Right.
So you kind of sit there and say, yeah, like it's great to have these amazing coordinators. But at the same time, you do want them to last a year, 2, 3 years before they have to move on, and hopefully whoever is below them, the quarterback coach or, whoever, you're moving them up in taking their position. Unfortunately, the Bears just have not had success with offensive coordinators and or promoting from within. Every 3 to 4 years, we're firing the head coach and going and looking somewhere new. So,
Right.
We're kind of in this perpetual, merry-go-round of, fire, hire, and replace, and back and forth.
Right. So, I mean, we have Shane Waldren who's going to be here, and I mean, he's got to be attached to the hip to the coach and to the GM when it comes to evaluating these quarterbacks that may be potential replacing Justin Fields. And I know we did. I don't know if you saw the video of Justin Fields at Hallis Hall working out, and he says, I got to start working out now. And
I will say that
yeah.
I will say this. Everything you ever hear about Justin Fields is he is a hard worker and he wants to be great. The only problem is that they keep trying to fit him into a West Coast system or that type of offense. And a lot of times the West Coast offense is very much timing and rhythm passing, and, you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. If the round hole's big enough, the square peg can go through. But like I said, we'll see what happens. Cause again, even Caleb Williams isn't, an off script quarterback. He can pass in rhythm sometimes, but again, you're still sitting there going, he thrives in that getting out of the pocket and making a play. Same thing with Justin Fields. When he pulls the ball down and he runs, or he bootlegs or gets out of the pocket, that's kind of where Justin Fields thrives. So, can he thrive within a West Coast offense? Yet to be seen.
So are we still looking for more screen plays from this OC? Are we still looking at the same type of play calling, or is this going to be different than Luke Getsy's?
I would definitely have to go back and watch more of the Seattle games. But with guys like Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett is very much a downfield kind of wide receiver. Even DK Metcalf with his speed is very much a downfield wide receiver. So, I haven't watched much of Seattle's, film at all. Like I said, I'm on vacation this week. So maybe I sit down and, take a couple days and, watch that Caleb Williams, Drake May and quarterback tape and, sit down and watch some Seattle games and see what we can figure out. But the one thing is, like I said, hopefully nobody threw at the line of scrimmage as much as Getsy. So it's got to be an improvement from that. So, like I said, we'll see what happens here.
Right. And now you got Getsy being rumored for the OC job with the Las Vegas Raiders. So he's going to land on his feet. Not so much.
I wish him all the best.
And, right.
Unfortunately, who knows? Maybe, like I said, if Getsy goes to the Raiders and he starts looking like the next head coach candidate, and he can thrive with Hunter Renfrow and Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams and Aiden O'Connell, then the Bears got to look in the mirror and, like I said, maybe it is Justin Fields, but like I said, I really think a lot of it was Getsy. I think I would put 70% of the blame on Getsy's play calling.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think it was play calling, and it's also bad execution by the type of players that we have. Receivers weren't blocking, and Justin Fields not catching, not throwing out within rhythm, like you just said.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with someone else the other day and basically saying, if your quarterback drops back in 3.1 seconds, right? And then he's standing there patting the ball, doing his reads. If he doesn't get the ball out by, say, 3.5 seconds, 3.6 seconds, your average rush to sack time
Mhm.
is roughly around 3 seconds.
Wow.
So again, if you're going 3.6, your offensive line is doing everything they can to keep you upright for, as much as they can. So, again, Tom Brady, when you go look at like his from snap to release, he was usually about 2.5 to 2.8.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you can have a bad offensive line if you have a quarterback that knows where he's going with the ball and he can get the ball out and keep working within that timing. You can cover some of the holes of a bad offensive line. So on where I said, I put 70% of the blame on Getsy, then it falls onto the O line, then it falls onto Fields holding. So it's kind of the all around trifecta of everything not working together that, kind of hampered us. We had the conversation of, a couple weeks ago, the Bears forced 4 turnovers or 4 interceptions or 3 interceptions and a turn and a fumble. And all the best we can do is 10 points as an offense of like, so yeah, I don't know what's, why does it say we just went live?
Yeah, I don't know. I clicked on it earlier. Now it says we're live. So, but technology is technology. I mean, we do have the audio, so we're okay. So if you're for people, I mean, everybody's showing up late, whatever it is, like Steven, we got the audio. So that first, 13 minutes.
I was like, dude, we've already been going for like 13 minutes. Like,
yeah,
hopefully we got that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I got the audio. So that's
perfect.
That's awesome. But okay, so now that we have the OC, the next step would be to hire the rest of your offensive staff. So who would be names that you would be looking at for a quarterback's coach? Because that's going to be an important position for Justin or Caleb or Drake May that we may draft.
Yeah, like if I were like Eberflus or whoever, I would look to Shane Waldren and be like, hey, who is on your Seattle staff that would be worth bring with you, because I mean you can't go to like no team's gonna like sign off on you trying to pick a guy off their team for a lateral move,
right? It won't be a lateral move, right?
So one of the names was Clint Kubiak. Well, he's the quarterback coach for the Ravens. So you're not going to be able to pick him off the Ravens and move him over to the Bears for a lateral position at the same spot. The Ravens are just going to say, no, he's under contract. He's staying with us. Sorry. So again, you kind of have to look at, some of these teams, the Washington Commanders, where they let go of, most of their coaching staff. Although I did read that they interviewed Eric Bieniemy either today or yesterday for their head coaching position.
Wow.
So there is potential that he keeps some of the staff on, or he may start with his own staff from scratch. So you kind of got to look at some of these teams with like who got laid off. You got Frank Reich's people out of Carolina, potentially, a quarterback coach from Frank Reich or Frank Reich himself coming in as a quarterback coach. I know the Bears asked to interview Kellen Moore, who was the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, I believe.
Okay.
And the Chargers denied the interview because, again, it was a lateral move. He would be the offensive coordinator for the Bears. So the Chargers basically said, no, we're not allowing that interview. So like I said, I don't have any real names for, the quarterback coaches or some of those lower tier offensive coaches. But I would really put that on Waldron because, hey, if you're going to be the offensive coordinator, almost being like, Flus has the defense and then Waldron is in charge of the offense. Like kind of go that route where it was like the Bears of 85 where, you had your defensive staff and then Ditka was running the offense. And like I said, two heads better than one, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you did mention Bieniemy being interviewed for Washington's head coaching job, but I thought he would have been a candidate for the DC job. We are hearing that so Ron Rivera is interviewing at different teams as well. For DC, I think it was Philadelphia he was going to interview. Why not bring him? I know. We also was it Chris Harris from Texas. We're going to interview him.
Chris Harris is the name for
former Bear
coordinator. Coming to the Bears potentially as a D coordinator. I don't know what his position is with the Texans. If he's a lower, like he might be, cornerbacks coach or safety. I'm not 100% sure what his position is.
If I remember, it might have been a linebackers coach or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Or secondary coach.
But yeah, there is rumor of him potentially being a name out there for D coordinator. But at the same time, Flus has said he likes calling the plays and he wants to continue doing so. So at the same time, would somebody want to come here and be
groomed? Chris Harris being groomed to be a DC?
Yeah, but you could be groomed in Texas, where you're getting more of an opportunity. Because if you come here and yes, you're quote unquote the defensive coordinator, but your head coach is stepping on your toes, calling all the plays. Are you really the defensive coordinator, or are you the figurehead?
Like Matt Nagy in Kansas City.
Like exactly like Matt Nagy with Andy Reid. Andy Reid's going to call some plays here and there, or step on your toes. Or perfect example, Eric Bieniemy for years would not get a head coaching interview because everybody thought it was Andy Reid. And unfortunately, also with Matt Nagy failing and some of the other coaches under Andy Reid's tree failing, Bieniemy kind of got the short end of the stick.
Yeah. Serg, so we I know you kind of fell off with some technical difficulties and it threw off the whole it went from live to not live. So welcome back to being live, sir.
I don't know much with this guy because after talking to my son earlier, my oldest, and he said that this coach is actually really good. He's done well, and you guys probably touched on this, so I apologize if I'm.
No, you're fine.
But it appears that he's done good with. And we all know how bad Geno Smith looked in Seattle. I mean, not Seattle, with the Jets. To go to Seattle and he progressed, right? To look at what he's done for Lamar, what he's done for, and some say, and I don't want to float that rumor out there, but that he has ties to Caleb Williams during his high school days. So I don't know what to make of that either. I think it's a pretty decent hire at best because none of those teams were really winning. Does that make sense? Like they weren't winning at the time when he was there. So I think Seattle started winning at the end, but Geno went down and so forth and so forth. So I don't know. I want to see where this goes, and hopefully he can make us better. And if they decide to keep Fields, because Fields is working out, so he's in that gym. He wants to keep his spot.
I mean, but that's your job. Your job is to work out. Your job is to practice, and the fun part is the playing. I mean, your job is to work out, stay in shape, and make sure that you're injury free. So I applaud him for having that dedication and being in there kind of like Tom Brady. Like, I just won a Super Bowl. What are you doing in the gym the next day at 4 a.m.? Well, it's a new season. It's a new season.
He don't want to give up his spot.
Right.
He doesn't want somebody coming to. He wants to stay in Chicago, which is fine. And that's why, hence no hibernation. That fool is working out right now. He's not going to go to sleep until he figures out what's going to be the next move. I was happy to see that. I do hope we retain him, that he does stay and he doesn't go away. But if we get Caleb, so be it.
Yeah, JC, do you think this changes the strategy for the Bears for draft?
It's super hard to say because, I've told you guys over the past couple of weeks where I stand, what I want the Bears to do, but you just never know because, again, we passed on CJ Stroud last year. We passed on Patrick Mahomes. If Caleb Williams turns into the next guy and we pass on him, it's a calamity of, then you passed on 3 generational talents in the past, 5 or 6 years. So,
but they work well in the system they're in. Correct. We have a
and that's the thing. While you weren't on, we were discussing.
Sorry. Yeah.
We discussed that, Waldren and everything the Bears are running is more of a West Coast offense where Caleb and Justin, they're not necessarily a West Coast offense style of quarterback. You know, take a Drew Brees, that is your West Coast style quarterback, a quarterback that's dropping back, hitting his third step, fifth step, seventh step, and getting the ball out. You know, these off script quarterbacks where, you know, they drop
Josh
back
Allen.
and then, yep, Josh Allen, you know, another one. Yep.
Cost me $100. Josh Allen. Thank you. Son got me.
But, you know, we were discussing that where, you know, like I said, we got to see where this whole West Coast offense thing goes. You know, as I said, while you were also off, you know, he is the 10th best play caller according to PFF for 2023. Again, the offense didn't perform 10th best. They were only one spot better than the Bears in the way of offensive production.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it was like 17 and 16 or something.
Yeah. But again, it was the play calling. You know, PFF looked at the play calling, like, even though, you know, hey, the pass didn't make it to the wide receiver, or, you know, they still graded out as he was making great play calls, which to me, and then you go look at Getsy, he was way down that list at about 27 of 32.
Jesus.
So I'll take the guy hopefully at 10 over the guy way down at 27. And like I said, we'll roll with it and see where we go.
Go ahead, Serg.
Oh yeah, and I you know, I do occasionally look at these comments all day that we have on our page on Facebook or on Twitter. But I'm gonna go ahead and I asked Mr. Roderick Ash. He gave me the thumbs up. He says, for all the naysayers, he took Geno Smith and revived. That's a beautiful word, isn't it? His career for 4,200 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, and Geno don't have the athletic ability JF got. So this is going to be something to watch. I mean, him stating that it's big because Geno was just all over the place when he was with the Jets. So this is a positive, I guess. Because Fields might do something like this.
The only thing I will say about that is, you know, the offensive weapons in Seattle were a huge upgrade over the Jets as well. So take that into account. You know, you got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, you know, over, you know, who's on the Jets right now? I know Garrett Wilson is now, but he wasn't with, you know, Geno. So, you know, it's one of those, you know, I look at a lot of stuff like that, and it is hard to say yes or no, but again, you know, we were kind of just discussing, you know, what's the plan, or, you know, what would the Bears do? Like, you know, Caleb versus, and again, I'm still hoping and holding out hope. We trade back from 1 to 3. We get MHJ, or, you know, hey, move back a little further and grab Neighbors. I'm okay with that. One of those two wide receivers, and let's build more draft capital for the next couple of years. You know, because unfortunately, you look at the Lions team, which is now one more game away from playing in a potential Super Bowl, and you look at the Packers, and you're sitting there going, not only that, Vikings get back Kirk Cousins, we're still bottom of the barrel in the NFC North right now. So to me, even though our team has improved dramatically, we still need more pieces, in my opinion, before we're quote unquote the kings of the North. Like I said, you know, give me another edge guy across from Sweat. You know, get me that center, get me that left guard. You know, potentially, you know, upgrading left tackle. You know, we already got our linebackers, to me, is set. We don't need any more linebackers. We do need an upgrade to Ejax, a younger, faster free safety.
Resign Jalen.
Brisker is perfect. Resign Jalen. You got Jalen and Stevenson. Perfect. Okay. Maybe the nickel corner needs an upgrade. You know, I know they're hyped about one of the rookies that they drafted this year. But he didn't play so well against Green Bay when he had to, you know, move up and be the number 2 guy when Jalen was out. So again, potentially upgrade at corner for a number 3. And like I said, to me, just build a nasty, mean defensive line, and just rush the hell out of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Detroit does, right? They're going after the quarterback, not allowing him to have time and space. And go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, unfortunately, watching like the Bears go against the Lions, they didn't look that good to me going against the Bears. But I know Hutchinson is a guy, but other than Hutchinson, like it's kind of like who's their second. So even if Detroit focuses on finding another edge guy, in the offseason, they could potentially still get better. So
yeah, it is Detroit's division to lose at this point. Yeah. All right, before we punt it out, we have any final thoughts on what the Bears should do for defensive coordinator? Do we have are we good with those two names we mentioned, or is there anything else that who we should be looking out for?
Is Brian Flores a free agent? I'm not free agent, but is he free out there? Or I think that's a name that they should consider if he's still, because I know he went to the Vikings but I don't know how long his contract was for.
Flores is always constantly in talks of like head coaching positions and defensive coordinators. But again, you also kind of have to look at some coordinators are 3-4 guys, some are 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what Flores is, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure Rivera is definitely a 4-3. But there's talks of him potentially talking to other teams.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. So like I said, that'll be interesting. Again, I really think it's going to be a struggle, because talking about defensive coordinator, if Eberflus still wants to be the play caller, I think it's going to be hard to find a defensive coordinator that wants to come in when, you're kind of the lame duck.
Yeah.
You're not the guy making the calls, you're head coaches. So
you're running all the practices, and then when it comes to game time, you got to sit there with your thumb, up, where.
Yeah, you're running the meetings, you're doing all the install, and then like I said, your head coach comes in and takes over and
takes the play calling sheet away from you on game day. So it's like, what's the point? Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right, boys. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the loop after a word from our sponsors. So let's hit the sounders there, baby. I'm still learning this, man. Still learning this. There we go. Here it is.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15.
For 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to No War on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Welcome back to the TCSF podcast with Big Z. We got No Sweat Serg in the house and JC Dynasty Football. It's time to talk some Chicago Bulls basketball. And right now, the big news is that our boy, Zach Lavine, is injured once again with a high ankle sprain. He looks to be out for a couple weeks. And it's frustrating, right? He got inserted back into the lineup after missing so much time. 6 weeks or whatever he missed. He started being an all-around player, actually fitting into the offense. I thought he was a little hesitant with his shot selection and passing open jump shots to get that extra pass in for the offense. And then he twists his ankle I can't remember what quarter it was because I was at the bowling alley when it happened. But I was like, why? Why can't you just stay healthy, man? Why can't you just stay healthy? Serg, what do we do with this team? Oh, go ahead.
Is he the man of glass?
He is the man of glass now.
Version 2.0.
Yeah, isn't it like Amari Stoudemire, right?
Oh,
On the court, remember that? My thing with Lavine is he never really fit the system. He was trying to fit the system.
Okay.
And it's just I feel bad because when he tried, he looked really but he was doing all the little things which padded his stats,
right?
Which I was okay with. Like he was overthrowing people. Dude, you are not a true point guard.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. And in shows, and we all know it. We know why we brought you to Chicago. It's because you're a natural scorer, the ability to take over games, blah 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 blah. Here's my problem. The problem is that he can't stay healthy, and maybe we don't need him right now. Maybe he just stay on the side, get healthy, maybe for the playoffs or something, and do what the other teams do, right? You get there for the final push in March. Like LeBron James does it. You have all these other stars that do it. They'll sit on the bench until it's game time. Look at Phoenix Suns that they're going to play. I believe they're playing them tonight. They got all their stars back.
Mm-hmm.
And they look good.
Mm-hmm.
That team looks like they're. And I predicted earlier. I think my cousin Beto and I were going back and forth, and I told him. He says, oh, because he's a homer. I love my cousin, but he's a bit of a homer.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, they're gonna go in there and stun them. No, I think we're gonna get blown the hell up.
I hope it's not a blowout. I put a bet down. I hope it's not a blowout.
I hope it's not a blowout, but Beal is on point right now, and Booker and KD thinks he belongs in GOAT conversations now. So now he's gonna go stunt. It's just little things like that makes you think. The Bulls don't have that. I feel like next year we're pieces away. No, we're not pieces away.
We're not pieces away.
We're winning games, but barely, right? Because we'll blow a 20-something point lead.
Yeah, we're blowing 15-point leads all the time. So there's a lot of smoke going on right now with the Chicago Bulls. There's rumors of the Miami Heat moving on from Kyle Lowry. Because he's been moved to the bench. He is an older point guard. So that might be a match for the Bulls because it's an expiring deal, right? It's $29 million that's expiring. There is another Markham Brogdon. I can never say his name right. Brogdon, whatever. It's Malcolm Brogdon. He's over there with where is he at? I think he's with the Celtics. I think he's the Celtics or Portland. I always forget.
I think the Celtics.
Yeah. So he averages 14 points and 5 assists, and he's 31. He's a little older. Again, at this point, what the Bulls are going to have to do while selling is they're going to have to take bad contracts that expire, or for in 1 or 2 years, and get rid of some of these assets. I know Caruso has 2 years left. He's an asset for a contender. Lavine can be in the third, fourth, or fifth option. To a contender, that's something that's enticing, but the problem is that his contract, his max contract, really screws him. And teams are moving on, right? You've seen the Lakers now; they're trying to focus on getting Chris Paul. I have no idea why, because Chris Paul, another man made of glass, is always hurt, always blows out his quad or his Achilles or a hang toenail.
Yeah,
hang toenail.
It's because he's boys with LeBron, and therefore LeBron wants him, and therefore whatever.
Yeah, it's true. It's whatever, because LeBron is the GM essentially. So that's what you have there.
Yeah, and he's horrible at it.
Oh, 100% he's horrible.
Yeah, Milwaukee's hitting on all cylinders. They're all hitting their
stride. Took a while. It took a while.
March comes. Yeah, imagine when March comes, when they're really trying to find that they catapult themselves into certain they want to be 1-2 their seedings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Chicago, they do, and I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'll say it again, and I'll reiterate it. They do have a chance to hit that 6 and 7 because these teams are not that strong in the East. I'm sorry.
No, they're not. I mean, they're not. Besides Boston, who I think is a real contender, but it is really Philly's division, or I want to say conference, to lose, because Philly is a monster, And if you get once Embiid gets going, forget about it. No one's stopping that boulder from moving. So
he just can't get hurt. Embiid.
Yes, if Embiid gets hurt, then it's a one man show at this point. And they have other pieces, but it is really if he goes, they go. So again,
we're scrapping though. We're scrapping and we're winning games, but we're just winning. Like we're in that 9th seed right now, right?
Correct, 21 and 23.
So I'm thinking we can hit 6 or 7. We just got to keep winning games. We can do it. We can do it. The Pacers right now, the Pacers look great. I'm not gonna lie.
They can score. They can score. They can't play defense.
They can't play defense. That's the point. They don't play any defense.
To me, the thing the Bulls have been missing, and I've been saying this for years, is they are missing that drop down 3-point shooter. I mean, Ray Allen, one of the greats. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was like, man, get that guy, playing with the baby Bulls. Like he would have been such a tremendous asset, But like I said, it's still to this day, like, what's our average on 3-pointers? Like it's horrible versus the league, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know Kobe White was doing very well there for a while, but like you go down our roster and it's like nobody can hit a 3 to save their life.
No, Caruso hit 1, maybe 2 a game unless he gets hot. DeRozan maybe hits 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah.
That's not his game. Yeah, well, he said it. That's not his game. He doesn't want to focus on that. He's like, I'm off the block right here.
Lucha throw it up too. That's the problem. No one and
there's no one to rebound once you do that. If all 3 of those guys are on the perimeter, there's no one to rebound.
That's what I've been preaching for weeks. They don't play their damn role. I'm going to try to keep it PG.
Yeah.
They don't play their ding role, man. They don't play their role. That's why I'm so adamant about Drummond and send Drummond this take because Drummond does his damn job. He goes down there, gets some rows. He's a big body, and he does what he's supposed to do. Elbows up, boom, boom, get him out there. He'll get a couple of steals, make it look good. But otherwise than that, this team, I think they do because Miami's falling apart, so they'll slide down. Indiana is coasting. Orlando, they have those young pieces, but I think they slip as well because for some reason Orlando struggles against certain teams as well. I think Orlando has what it takes to hit 6 or 7. Mark my words, they're going to hit 6 or 7 by the end of the season. Mark my words.
I see a 7 seed. I don't see them getting past the 7 seed.
6 or 7?
Yeah.
My bubble.
It doesn't matter. It's a first round knockout. Don't bust your bubble. It's a first round knockout either way, wherever they end up, because I don't think they can beat any of the teams in the NBA in a 5-game series, 7-game series, whatever it may be. So, it really is at the time right now where AK Eversley needs to get on the phone. Everybody's available.
Right.
Everybody. There's no untouchables, and we got to stop that because Chicago fans are very, very attached to the players. And, you've seen that with the Cubs, right? They got rid of everybody 2 years later, way after the fact. White Sox, they don't trade their players, and they're not that good, right? They're good in Chicago, but they're not good. They're not household names.
Correct.
The Bulls do the same thing. You could have traded for Kobe, but you didn't want to give up Darnell Marshall. Like, you stop being a homer. Look at the assets that you're getting back. It's simple as that. Like, these assets are not working.
3-point specialist, right?
Right.
Like Donald Marshall.
Oh my God. Yeah, Jar Jar. He looked like Jar Jar Binks.
To me, like I said, I mean, DeRozan, he's on an expiring contract. I mean, get what you can for him.
You do have to get what you get for him.
Again,
yes.
You got Pat Williams. You hear rumors of some teams may be interested in making a trade for him. Hey, look, I don't think we're going to pay him, so you might as well get what you can for him.
Yeah.
I don't know what that value will be. Caruso, again, he can't stay healthy, can't stay on the court. And if he's only got 2 years left and you're sitting there with a struggling team or a rebuild, what good is it having him on the team?
Correct.
You might as well get the value out of him from somebody.
So Ball is going to be leaving too.
And the thing we've had this conversation is that even though we're moving on from these guys, these picks cannot be like 2029. Like they need to be picks that are assets that we can rebuild within the next 3 to 4 years and put a product on the court.
Right.
And again, we may have to sign some, veterans in the off season to put a team on the court. Like you said, like a Lowry that, is on a 1-year expiring contract. Like I said, we might have to put him on the court for a year and, put a team together while we let the rookies come in and, get some draft
Sorry
picks.
about that.
So, but like I said, unfortunately, this is, as a Bulls fan, this is what we're going to have to go through.
Yeah,
we have to deal with it.
I wish we would do something similar to what Cleveland is doing, because Cleveland did it. I feel like Cleveland kind of is doing it correctly. They're bringing all these young players. They're fast. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they don't have big egos. I think the only one that would probably have a big ego is
Spider.
Not Strus, is Spider. Yeah, Mitch.
But again, you go back and look at Golden State. They drafted Seth. They drafted Clay. They drafted Draymond Green. So I mean, there's a lot of teams that do it right and get it through the draft, but for whatever reason, like the Bulls draft people and they never produce. Like we draft a Markkanen and then like he goes and produces for another team, not us.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful point that you said. And this is I guess, hand in hand with the Bears. We don't develop shit. I mean, sorry, I was.
That's all right. You're allowed one. You're allowed one.
I let that one slip. But we don't develop anybody. We don't. We find these players and they go elsewhere and they do great jobs. And we're sitting there like Trubisky's the exception of that one.
He was never good.
No, I mean, trust me. There's a lot more Bears players that did not pan out. Kevin White, Alshon Jeffrey did like 2 or 3 years, maybe. Then was always injury plagued after that. And
but he got a ring.
There, yeah, but again, it's one of those. Like I said, especially when you look at the Bulls, it's you Markkanen, Bobby Porter. There's a bunch of guys that
Portis,
recently have, Portis, sorry, that have moved on to some teams that, they're producing where they're at now. And they're a decent, like, player getting minutes on those teams. Like, they're not just some guy coming off the bench. So,
that's
like I said, I don't know what it is about the Bulls. Maybe it's, the scouting team. Maybe it's, there's too much of a nightlife in Chicago and these guys are enjoying that too much rather than getting to the gym and putting in the work. So like I said, whatever it is with the Bulls, they need to figure it out. Either that, or maybe the owner needs to come in and put his foot down and be like, hey, we want to win.
Yeah, Michael Reinsdorf is not going to do that. He's very hands-off. He lets the people they put in charge. You've seen how long they had Garpax in there, fumbling every single damn draft pick that they got.
But again, it's you need to step in and be like, hey, we want a winning culture. Get on board or get out.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Reinsdorf the same one that says, I don't know why the fans are complaining about me not spending money. I spent a lot of money, and WhiteSox are I put the winning product on the field. This is the same guy, isn't it?
No, his son runs the Bulls. Michael Reinsdorf runs the Bulls, and Jerry runs the White Sox. So Jerry's hands off when it comes to the Bulls. How can I say this? The focus on the Bulls is fan experience. And if you've ever been to a Bulls game, and we talked about this in prior episodes, the experience as soon as you walk into the building with the new atrium, the new bars, the new FanDuel bar, the restaurants that are in there. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you ain't part of it because there's hidden restaurants in there. Yeah, there's restaurants in the basement. There's a restaurant on the second floor. There is the experience is second to none. I've been to other NBA stadiums, and it's nowhere near as fun to be around. There's music, there's DJs, there's all sorts of entertainment right before the game. The hour and a half they allow you in, there's so much to do. That's where the focus is at, making sure that the fans that do come into the game are having a blast, whether you're a fan or not. The T-shirts that drop down from the ceiling, all the ridiculous thing. And obviously we do have the best mascot, so you do have that entertainment. But the product on the court is not consistent. It's not winning culture.
So we're smoking mirrors.
It is.
We're
It really is. But you know what? The Bulls have been in the top attendance for the past 30 years. All right. Even when the team sucks, people show up for the Bulls. Not as good as the Blackhawks, but you do not have a winning culture. You do not. I don't think Billy Donovan's the coach to bring you that winning culture. I really don't. You need somebody that's hard nosed.
That's part of the problem is that, for the past, 20 years since Michael Jordan left, we're just good enough to be exciting, but not good enough to be a serious contender. D Rose, Butler, those guys, super exciting, but you knew hey, they're not going to be a world champion team.
They were one game away from getting to that point. And if Derrick Rose doesn't blow out his knee in a blowout with the last 10 minutes it was. So yes. And your comment still stands on merit that these guys weren't good enough. And the other part of that was that you had Tom Thibodeau running these guys into the floor. They should not be playing the fourth quarter if they're up 15 with 4 minutes to play. Stuff like that where...
Well, like I said, the D Rose team, dude, if you had gotten any other free agent than Boozer, we might have had a chance. And I understand Boozer was a great player on the team he was on before, but that's because he was the only player on the team.
Utah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's then he comes to the Bulls and it's
get that Joe.
Oh, hold on. Ole, there's the net. Go for it.
Yeah.
He played no defense.
No.
And it's
Zach Lavine.
And I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I can't really even watch the NBA anymore because there's no defense being played. Scores are at 140 points a game.
Pacers and
it's
Kings.
This generation loves it. They love it. They think it's much more athletic.
But
I will bite teeth and nail. They were like, oh, wow, we try to watch them older games, but they're slow. It's a slow game to watch. What do you? So I'm like,
yeah, in a way, because you got to remember we had a lot of big 7-footers, and they would throw the ball into the post, and Hakeem is working his 4 seconds.
I don't really care for that aspect of the game, but like I said, when you got guys driving to the lane and nobody's in front of them at all, or they're so afraid to even step in front of a guy and take a charge, or you know what I mean, dude, I'm sorry, the foul calling to me alone in the NBA is dude, if I took my pinky, raised it up like I was drinking a glass of tea and touched you with my pinky, that's a technical foul now. It's just what happened to the game?
Yeah.
I understand you don't want fights breaking out every night, but you know what I mean? When did a foul in Michael Jordan's era become a flagrant and you're out of the game in this era? To me, it's just the softness of the game is just, to me, it's just I can't watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For years, the flopping that was going on for years.
Yeah.
Dude, it made me not want to watch basketball.
Yeah.
Even the whole, somebody's going up for a 3-pointer and they get their defender to jump in the air and then they jump into that defender and they get the call because they jumped into the defender.
They took that out. They're not supposed
to. I understand they took it out, but for a while there, it was being called a defensive foul.
Yeah,
and to me, it drove me nuts. Because it's wait. How does that make sense that a guy took off, jumped, and then this guy jumps into him and it's a foul on the other guy?
Yeah, that's happened in a lot of Bulls games where you're jumping straight up to block and the guy jumps into you. You're like, well, I'm already in the air. This is my space, and he's jumping into me. How is that foul on me? I can't control myself in the air anymore. So
to me, and like I said, it's just little nuances of the game, and I know they're trying to make strides to fix those kind of things and fix those kind of calls.
Yeah,
but I mean, dude, I got to tell you, it soured me for a couple of years where it's just I can't watch this product. Dude, watching LeBron flop on the ground, one of my guys brought up the other night. They had LeBron flopped, and then Jokic,
Yeah, the Joker.
like did the same thing and was like, "You flop, I flop." Like basically, like if we're gonna play this, like you flop, I flop. Like this is how it's gonna be. Like be a man. Like let's play basketball.
Yeah.
Like come on. So to me, like I said, there's a lot of product, in the NBA. Personally, I think needs to be fixed up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But to go back to our points, trade everybody. Let's get the rebuild going.
Fire sale.
Yeah, definitely do a fire sale.
I don't want to say fire sale because that gives people the opinion that we're just going to give everybody away for free. No. We want value in return.
Yeah.
For these guys.
That's fair.
That's 100%. All right, let's switch over to the other team that plays at the Madhouse on Madison. We got the Chicago Blackhawks. Usually Steven takes this segment, so we're gonna do our best to become puckheads here. Oh, there it is. He switches. Oh, he's Steven now. Awesome. Let's see. Yeah, the Blackhawks won their last game. They are 3-7. They're 14-30. They're in last place, and right now they'd be the second. They would have the second overall pick because the Sharks are even worse than they are. We are decimated with lots of injuries. Injuries. Right. And then we can't get Connor Bedard to get off the ice.
No, he likes to, and he's practicing before everybody actually practices.
Yeah, he's on the ice. He's still skating. He's practicing. He's obsessed. The kid's is a gamer. So, I mean, you can't fault him for that. I just don't want any further injury on him. So, there's really not much news on the Blackhawks. I mean, they're fun to watch. They just keep losing. If you're a betting man, continue to bet on them to lose while they get that number. They're trying to get that number one pick. I'm just going to say that out there.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why I brought up a couple weeks ago because I know you said I think it was the San Jose Sharks are the number one team. So I kind of asked like, how many times do we play the Sharks? Like, hopefully we can lose to the Sharks a couple times and this won't be an issue. But
it'd be like San Antonio playing Detroit in the NBA. Like, who sucks more? Yeah, so that'll
exactly. Hey. I think a couple guys need to take a rest the next night we play the Sharks. Yeah,
that's right. All right, that's all we got for the Blackhawks. I really don't have much news. There's not much news out there for the Blackhawks as I was looking. So
yeah, I was trying to while we're talking here, I'm trying to look up like who are some of the studs coming out in the next draft.
Mm-hmm.
Just so we can get some names out there of potential guys that we're going to be looking at. With
a lot of French Canadians. Lithuanians, French Canadians. They're not American hockey players. I tell you that much.
Yeah, no. But like we brought up, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I brought up that there is a guy from like the same hometown as Bedard, and he's supposed to go pretty high. But I thought he was supposed to be like the number one. So if he goes to San Jose, it's kind of like, who do we look at from there? And Steven lets us down. He's not here tonight. He's our Blackhawks guy, and
he leaves everybody with a black eye. No Blackhawks.
So send me his address. I'm on vacation. I'll make sure to jump him when he's like going into his place.
Awesome. I love it. All right, so let's switch over to baseball. We've got the Chicago Cubs. We got news with Chicago Cubs. Hall of Fame second baseman Ryan Sandberg, who played 15 seasons for the Chicago Cubs, announced on Instagram that he's been diagnosed with metastatic, I said that right, prostate cancer, and has started treatment. He had a statement that says, to my Chicago Cubs fans, National Baseball Hall of Fame, and extended baseball family, the city of Chicago, and all my loyal fans, I want to share some personal news. Monday last week, I learned that I had been diagnosed with cancer. I have begun treatment, and I am surrounded by my loving wife, Margaret, and incredible support, and our incredible supportive family. I have the best medical care team and our dear friends. We will continue to be positive, strong, and fight to beat this. Keep us in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time for me and my family. Sandberg's 64 years old, a 10-time All-Star during his 15 seasons with the Cubs, from 82 to 97. I mean, definitely one of my childhood heroes. You know, he's got his own game, right? The Ryan Sandberg game. Everybody remembers that. He was a power hitting second baseman, just a stud. And that's probably the only Cubs jersey I owned right now. So, he switched his hat. This guy's a chameleon.
What are you talking about?
We gotta remember his 19.
I've been wearing this hat the whole podcast.
Holy Jesus!
1990 was probably his best season. I think it was because he had like, and I'm thinking of this at the
Yeah, it was 90. He had 40 home runs. He had 40. And just the third primary second baseman to reach 40 home runs. So he was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2005, the year the White Sox won the World Series. I just like to throw shit out there like that for you guys. The Cubs are also scheduled to unveil a statue of Sandberg outside Wrigley Field on June 23rd, the 40th anniversary of his best game, the Sandberg game, where he hit game-tying home runs in the bottom of the 9th, 10th, and had 7 ribbies in Chicago's 11-inning, 12-11 victory over the Cardinals. So,
Cardinals.
Yep.
He was a Cardinal killer. I mean, it just metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
But he was supposedly the Cardinal killer. So he's very known. He's very well loved. We went as kids a long time ago. I can't remember our age, but we went as a trip to the Cub Stadium. And when we went, he was actually one of the nicest guys. He came, and 2 minutes talking to us is a big deal.
Right.
So he was between him and Mark Grace, my all-time favorite Cubs are those two players right there. I mean, a lot of people will give out some other names, but those two.
Sean Dunston.
Sean Dunston. Oh yeah, I forgot about him for a second. I apologize. But these two guys actually came and talked to us.
Okay, yeah, well, I mean, of course, that makes a huge impression on any child if you get to see, you kind of like your childhood heroes, and those are, household names in Chicago. You name Grace and Sandberg, and yes, everybody understands who are you talking about and what the era was. So, we wish, Ryan Sandberg and his family, a speedy recovery through this process. He was a manager for the Phillies, and he was, I think, in the minor leagues for the Cubs. I always thought he had the grits to manage the Cubs, but that never came to fruition. But definitely one of my fan favorites. JC, you got a Ryan Sandberg story or memory?
No, I mean, I grew up a Cubs fan, so like to me it was like every day coming home from school, I'd get off the bus, and run home.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather used to live with us when I was a kid, so he would have the Cubs game on, and I'd get there. I think it would probably the 7th inning stretch, 8th inning, depending on the bus. And like I said, just running home to like catch that last like inning or two with my grandpa.
Right.
Just good old, memories of time passed by. That you watch a team like that, I told you guys before we came on the air that, Mark Grace was, one of my favorite Cubs,
mm-hmm,
just because, like we were discussing earlier, as a kid, like I was amazed that like, oh my God, there's somebody that bats on the other side of the plate. He was a lefty.
mm-hmm.
So it was one of those, like, I was always amazed by that. But yeah, I mean, just those teams of, like the early 90s, like when I was a kid, it was just, like I said, it just brings back great memories,
Yeah, definitely.
I've got my throwback Sandberg jersey here, like I said, that's my go-to jersey. That's what I usually wear when I go to a Cubs game. I got a couple other jerseys laying around, but like I said, when I actually go to a game, it's Sandberg. Like that's what I wear to a game.
I think
Mine's usually Ernie Banks. Yeah,
Ernie Banks. That's a good one for you, Jenkins. I think JC has a Fukudomi jersey. I'm assuming he does.
Garcia Parra. Garcia Parra is
Garcia Parra. That's a good
yeah, and it was basically because it was the year like Garcia Parra left. I used to work at Dick's Sporting Goods, and they marked it down to like $19 for the jersey. And I was like, well, at least I could like take the stitching off, like I can get rid of the Garcia Parra on the jersey
Mhm.
and just have a Cubs jersey with the number.
There you go.
So, but it still has the stitching. I never unstitched the name. So,
in other Cubs news, the Cubs are still pursuing your boy Cody Bellinger. That's not
news.
So it is news because of these factors, right? His agent, I don't know who his agent is, right? Scott Boras wants over $200 million for him. Now the issue is that Bellinger actually had dinner with the brass, with the front office of the Cubs. They had good dialogue. He wants to stay in Chicago. He loves Chicago. He loves Wrigley Field. He loves the team. But there are factors like that where you have such a high profile agent that can sometimes not help you.
Yep.
If you want to go to a team, and you got to remember, the agent works for you. He is working for himself. He's trying to get the biggest deal so he can get the biggest percentage over the amount of years that you're working. He's going to get paid off that. If you say, I want to go to Chicago, I don't care if it's $25 million less overall or if it's $10 million less a year. I want to play for Chicago. That's what you tell your agent to do. Yeah, you try to get maybe a little bit more money. You barter back and forth. You negotiate. But if you want to be a Cub, tell your agent, I want to be a Cub. Make it happen. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times have we also heard stories of like players basically said like, "Oh, I was never even presented."
Yeah.
Like this information, like I was told the Rockies wanted me at this amount and this team wanted me at that amount, but I never even knew this team wanted me at number 3. And the difference was $5 million,
Yeah, something negligible, right?
The contract,
yeah,
or whatever. There's other language in contracts that can turn a agent off of, like I said, whether it be like no trade clauses or whether it be opt out years, or,
bonuses for numbers
like that can sour an agent on a contract, and like they won't even present it to their client because they're like, no, we're not going to even, where it's like, okay, well, that's the whole point of negotiation. Like, that's like fantasy football. Like if I'm trying to make a trade with you, like, hey, I'm not going to throw out my best offer round 1. Like even though usually I am that guy in fantasy football, because it's like, hey, if I'm coming to make a deal, I want to make it the deal. Like, let's just get this done. I'm not going to come in and offer you like a scrub. All right. Like I'm going to come with a very good offer. And like I said, maybe we work a little bit, but like I said, this is pretty much a strong offer when I come in. So, but like to me, like the players want Belly back. The fans want Belly back. If Belly wants to come back, then it's basically down to the front office and the agent to just get it done. Like I said, maybe it's not the 200 million, but maybe it's 195, maybe it's 185. Whatever we got to do, just get it done.
You can massage the contract to be like, you know what, if you hit 30 home runs, we'll give you another $500,000. Whatever it is.
You watch Jerry Maguire and just say, show me the money.
But here's the issue, and this is why I think the Cubs will sign him overall. Toronto has signed another outfielder. That means they secured their outfield. The Yankees traded for Juan Soto. The Yankees wanted Bellinger. You got San Francisco that signed one of the Korean players, Jung-Hoo Lee. They also have Michael Conforto. So the market's shrinking for him to get big money and be on a good team that's a contender. So I really think that the Cubs,
which is also good for the Cubs,
right?
Because they can sit there and be like, "Hey, the market's shrinking. The options for where your guy can go and get 200 million, look, it's shrinking too. So
go to Pittsburgh.
We're
then
at 100. We're at 175.
Yeah,
you're still getting darn close to what you wanted, but it gives us a little flexibility to continue to put a team together.
Exactly.
Well,
or be like the Dodgers and defer the money 30 years from now. Just do that. Just do that. Come on, Cubs.
Listen, we're trying to keep the show PG-13. Let's not get me going on this whole I will throw this laptop across the room.
Oh,
it's
my
unbelievable God. What the Dodgers are getting away with MLB, seriously look yourselves in the face and be like, we cannot allow this to happen in the future. We need to make some sort of cap on what you can push into future years. Like, this is ridiculous.
I think that should be eliminated altogether, but that's a CBA thing that's going to have to be negotiated. So.
To me, like, I don't mind it because, like, you know, we always laugh at the was it Bobby Bonilla contract?
Yeah, the $1 million.
To me, like, it's something to talk about. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, like, the amount, like, it's 680 million. Like, no, come on.
Well, Griffey's still getting paid by the Reds as well.
But again, like, what's Griffey getting paid? 10 million a year,
something like that? Because at one point he was the highest paid player on their roster.
But to me, like, I'm okay with like I said, you put a cap on it, whether it be like, okay, every team you're allowed to defer $30 million per year in salary cap.
I think that's a lot.
But again,
you're ballparking
versus 680 million.
Over
like I said, to
years.
me, like I said,
and it's more than that because they got 2 players that are deferred now. Am I correct? There's 2
they got it's
oh god,
who's they got they got the pitcher. Was it the pitcher, right?
They got the Japanese.
Well, it showed Otani, but was it?
Why are we blanking on
it wasn't the other Japanese pitcher, I don't think.
I don't know, but their loopholes and whoever's reading these contracts is beautiful because that's the representation I want.
Well, here's the even funnier thing. Here's the other funnier thing is now the California government is sitting there being like, they're looking at Otani's money being deferred.
They're
trying to figure out how to make new tax laws to get at that money.
And
so to me, it's like it's hilarious because it's like
by the time he gets that money, he'll be living in Japan and he's not going to get taxed any of that money. So
but that's the whole thing is like the state of California is like no, we got to get a piece of that. Like we need to put some legislation in and get at that money.
That's after the fact. Sorry, bro. You see me in court. You ain't touching my money.
Governments care, bro. They'll retroactive that. They'll trust me. They want to get at your money. They just hire more IRS agents. They already did that.
Yeah, right. Speaking of governments, the Chicago White Sox have been in talks with the city of Chicago over a parcel of land called the 78. It's located in the South Loop by Roosevelt and Clark, by that Target. You got the Chicago River on it. You got CTA access between Roosevelt and State Street. You got the red line, green line, and orange line all get there. You got water taxis. It's not as big as what they have right now, which the White Sox are renting. But how do you guys feel about the White Sox making a move into a neighborhood, closing to the shut up. Speak objectively, not as a Cub fan.
No. I'm saying why? Oh, you know what? My team's bad. Let me just buy a new stadium. Let's just put up a new stadium and put it somewhere.
They don't remember. They do not own the guaranteed rate field. That is owned by the state, and they rent it. And he has a sweetheart deal. You know, if they don't get so many fans, he doesn't have to pay rent. He's got a sweetheart deal. So, but he's making hand over fist in money and parking. You know, if you're going in there and you're paying $28, $29 per car, I mean, that's a lot of money plus concessions and all that. I don't want to get into all that, but you're looking at a team that's saying, we don't draw, we don't have good players, we play second fiddle and we're complaining, but let's move to a new stadium. Now, the renderings that were leaked out, I think they're okay. I think they could be better. But the idea is that they're kind of like Pittsburgh, where you have the skyline behind them, behind the outfield, and then you have access to the river. So you have the river in the background as well. Now, it's going to be kind of like, Wrigley, where you're only going to be able to get there through public transportation. You're not going to be able to park in that area. So you've got to get there by Uber, taxi, red line, green line, orange
I
line.
remember parking across the street at the McDonald's where you had to pay like $25-$30 or
It's
$40.
it's like $75 now, sir.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And
that's how long it's been.
Yeah, the McDonald's is no longer there.
Yeah, they tore it down, turned it into a parking garage, and they're actually like the McDonald's is there, but it's like in the parking garage.
It's inside the hotel. Yeah, it's inside the hotel.
Whichever.
So my thing with that is that it sounds like a great idea, but it just sounds like smoke and mirrors. Where wasn't the Bears trying to buy their own thing in Arlington, and now the White Sox?
The Bears own the land in Arlington, and they have, I don't know how many, 133 acres or whatever it may be. But then Chicago's like, well, how about you build south of Soldier Field? Again, we're still running into the same situation where you don't have accessibility. It is a MFer. Look at that, I didn't swear. To get to Soldier Field. It is a horrible 1.5 mile out walk from the parking lot to get there. You can't, there's only so much you can tailgate. And that's one of the big things for the White Sox is that you can tailgate for a couple hours and then get into the field. That's kind of a big tradition that they would be alienating their fans in order for that quick money grab of, oh, yeah, the Sox are playing, let's just go. And that would be kind of the attraction where they don't have to be baseball fans, but there's a new stadium. It's in the neighborhood. Let's go catch a game.
Now, does the neighborhood get to vote on this as well? Because I know a long time ago, Wrigley Field didn't have a vote, right? Because that's how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, these neighborhoods actually have a say. What do you think their take on that would be?
Yeah, don't worry about that. Just like the Cubs, they'll
grease the palms. Yeah, they'll grease the palms. And you got to remember, it's all big businesses around there. You got the Roosevelt Collection, which is all big name stores, and then you have Target, and then not too far from there, you're literally almost on the lakefront. So you do have. There's not that much residential there, but there's a lot of bars. Like on Wabash and so forth that are in walking distance that would benefit. So they would love that, right? Because
the taxes are going to go up too.
Well, they don't care. That area is ridiculous to live in right now. But
fair enough.
I in a way, it's good, right? Because it's you're progressing your team, right? You want to better the team. You want a new state of the art stadium, because they were one of the first state of the art stadiums in the '90s. And that's what they was when they moved from Comiskey to what it was, a new Comiskey. But you're progressing your team into a new stadium. Okay, I kind of get that. You don't own your stadium, but you're also losing out on the fans who love the tailgate, love to hang out before and after the game. That's part of it. That's part of like football. That's part of baseball, and you're taking away from that to give a new stadium. Are you going to be spending money on your team once you get this stadium? Because you're going to get an all-star game with a new stadium.
Right.
I just don't know how I feel about it with this new team. I mean, with getting a new stadium at this, and it won't happen for another 10 years.
Well, let me put it this way. Is it A, in a safer neighborhood? B, do I still need to wear a bulletproof vest when I go to a game? C, is someone getting shot in the stadium?
Ooh, we're not forgetting that one either. Who the hell brought a gun into the stadium?
They still can't figure it out, man. They still haven't figured that out. But my whole point is,
no.
Wrigley, same thing. Like Wrigley, yeah, you got to get there by public transportation. It is what it is.
It's a neighborhood ballpark like Fenway is.
To me, if you make it a safer neighborhood, if you make it a more, where families can go and enjoy, yeah, you're not going to be able to tailgate, but I'm sorry, like the White Sox kind of want to sell more concessions anyway, so they're not going to care if you
they're not
able to tailgate or not,
right?
Because that means, hey, they're going to be hungry. We're going to sell more concessions. Not even that, like the neighborhood around that property. Hey, we're gonna build bars, we're gonna build restaurants, we're gonna
hotel,
make it a place for you to come enjoy the game. So
I like driving to my ballpark. I really do. I like parking, and it's a big deal for me. It's a big deal.
I don't know. Let's go back to the security at the White Sox.
Oh my God! Would you get over this? You know how many fights there is at Cubs?
I don't want to take my children there, man, or my grandson. Who was security? Day-Day from Friday? No.
And those are Chicago
speaking of
mob.
fights
Those are
at a
Chicago
Cubs
mob
game,
police officers that are retired that are just standing there, man. They're all like
The pat-down where he does this.
Yeah, they're all like 75. So they definitely need to get new security and a new company. And
I do
definitely
love
take care of
those
that.
videos of security guards where it's like they're like 3
He's not
feet from
even
touching
moving.
anyone. Yeah, keep it moving. Oh my god!
I can't
All
listen.
right, sorry.
All right, there's no other news for the White Sox besides them trying to make news to distract you from the product that's going to be on the field, which is going to be hot trash. So
That right there, I like it that you say that. And can I mention? And
Yeah.
I know that we have not mentioned, and this is a college team, but the Fighting Illini went from 14 to 10. Now they started the season off at 9, I believe.
Mhm.
They fell back when they lost Terrence Shannon Jr.
Mhm.
Terrence Shannon Jr. came back, and all of a sudden it went from 14, and now they're in 10th in seeding. So Fighting Illini, I love what they're doing. I love the product that they put on the court. Terrence went to court to fight to get back onto the court.
nice.
Pun intended.
Pun intended.
Yeah, he did. He did go back on the court. He won it. I think it was based off of it's just like, they're messing with his career, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he said, yeah, you guys are messing with my career. I need to play until this is resolved. So is not guilty until I'm proven innocent. I am innocent until proven guilty, basically what it was. So anyways, Terrence Shannon Jr. came back and he produced 16 points in 28 minutes right off the bench for 86-63 win. I just want to put that out there because
Yeah, they cracked the top 10. Yeah, they cracked the top 10.
They were top 10, and then Shannon went down and got suspended for whatever the allegations, and then now he's back and he fought it in court 2-3 days. Like, what are you guys doing? You're messing with my livelihood. So they said, yep, let him back. He has every right to be out there. He's out there, and he'll be probably drafted next year. So anyways, I want to put that out there because I think they're doing a great job.
No, that's good. That's
Reminds me
good.
of remember Brian Cook and all of them? The what was it? No, it was Cook. Old dude that played for Utah. Who are these guys? The last time that they went to the dance.
That was 2005. That was D Brown. That was
Darren Williams.
Darren Williams, who played for Utah. They had the 3-headed monster. So
we do have a monster. This team is actually really good.
yeah, they are fun to watch.
Go on and watch them. Yes.
In other college news, DePaul Blue Demons fired head coach Tony Stubblefield after a 3-15 start.
Good.
Yeah,
I was going to say that I was just about to bring that up. If we're going to talk about college sports, that my dad was a season ticket holder for DePaul basketball for 30 years.
wow.
And
What a donation.
When they moved from Allstate down to their new gymnasium down
Wintrust.
Yep.
They're at the Wintrust.
My dad stopped being a season ticket holder, but he was all excited today and like, yeah, they fired the coach. They fired the coach. Like, because I mean,
first of all, DePaul has high standards for their academics, and then to recruit,
they do. They have very high academic standards, but at the same time, like when my dad was a season ticket holder, like during the 80s, they were a decent basketball team.
That was Joey Meyer, wasn't that? Wasn't that Joey Meyer?
Yeah, well, I forget the coach back then, but I mean, like there were also a couple of years, like in like late 90s, early 2000s. I was in 8th grade, and they made it to the tournament.
Yeah,
with like Quentin William or
Richardson.
We call them Q-Tip.
Richardson.
Quentin Richardson and some of those guys. But to me, like, dude, it's one of my favorite hats. Like I love the DePaul logo, on a hat. But unfortunately, dude, they've just been so hard to support. Like,
they are, and it's hard because of the NIL money now. Who's going to support a DePaul player when you can spend that money with the NBA or the MLB or the NFL or the NHL players? Like, you can get an actual name rather than somebody that's playing at DePaul, right? So that NIL money is really not going to work for DePaul's favor. So just wanted to mention that, because it did break the news. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with a Stirring the Pot. Serg came up with one, and We're going to argue for about 5 to 10 minutes before we get off this channel, all right? So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15
for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
What up? It's Martin Moreno, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast.
Thanks, Martin. All right, welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with Big Z. We got JC and we got No Sweat Serg in the house. And boys, it's that time again. And if you don't know what time it is time for Stirring the Pot. All right, boys. Serg, I think we collaborated on this one. We did post it on our page. It got some traction. I thought it would have got more traction between Cubs and Sox fans. And I posed the question, and I know you backed it up. What if the 2005 World Series White Sox and the 2016 Chicago Cubs from the World Series team played each other?
And now we know why Steven's not here is because Jose didn't want to be outvoted.
I'm already outvoted. It's already 2-1.
Landslide.
Oh, by a landslide. And I can admit that most of the listeners and most of the people on the page are Cub fans, and I admit that. And that is okay. You fan the way you want to fan. I don't dog you for choosing that team. That's all right.
All right, so let's get into it. Aroldis Chapman, closer, stud. We had Lester.
Let's focus on game one. So this is kind of a hard debate because it is a fantasy debate, right? So if you look at game one, I think you guys lost that one 6-3. Just pulling that off my head because that was a little bit more recent, but 6-3. I mean,
yeah.
What happened, Cub fans? Where you at?
I'm waiting for you to make a point here.
Yeah, that was what I was waiting for too. Like,
all right, we won 5-3.
Like I mean, so a team's not allowed to lose. Like,
we didn't go 7 games. We swept.
Oh,
we didn't lose a game. We didn't lose a game in the World Series. So we're talking about game one. Every stats, you go
right,
head to head.
But let's get to the point. All right, we're putting up John Lester. Who are you putting up as your number one pitcher?
I gotta go. Did John Lester pitch the first game?
John Lester's the number one pitcher. Why can't it be Arrieta?
No, it has to be we're going game one. Game one versus game one. That roster, that lineup versus my lineup.
Fair enough.
So who was your starter?
So I would probably put Lester out there game one.
What was it, Lester, for game one?
I'm saying in a potential mock us versus you, I would throw Lester out there as the game one.
You would throw Lester? I would throw Arrieta if I was the Cubs. He had a hot season that year. He was a monster.
I said the same thing. It's
to
me, but Lester has the experience in those games.
He does, and he pitched all right. Let's see, who did we have? We had Contreras, we had Burley. Freddie Garcia.
Burley was good.
Burley was really good. I mean, actually, he did get hit in the World Series. Let's see, what did Contreras do here? Where's my stuff?
We had Jake John, I believe Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, right. Kyle Hendricks.
I won't say too much about Chapman because Chapman, Yes, he was.
He struggled. He struggled in that World Series.
Struggled, man. He
But
cried
he
about
struggled
it next
because again he was used to coming in the ninth
season. There it is.
and closing it out, and
That's
they were
your
trying
manager.
to put him in the eighth.
That's a manager decision, and we all know that Madden was not good with his bullpen.
No, he wasn't.
He almost lost that World Series for you. And those are facts. You know, so I mean, you got Contreras who pitched six innings that game, gave up 3 runs, 2 strikeouts. I'm fine with that because our offense was really good that year. They weren't the biggest names, but there were a lot of clutch hitters with Pazednik, Gucci, Jermaine Dye, Paul Konerko, Carl Everett, Rowan, Przisky, Creedy, and Uribe. Now they're not. Again, I know you guys on paper, like on names, you had bigger names on that 2016 Cubs team.
Yeah, we had better hitters.
But like I said, to me, like, you know, you look at like, okay, we're gonna throw out Arrieta, we're gonna throw out Lester. You know, Lackey, he was kind of one of those guys. Like, you know, he had the potential of, you know, doing pretty well, but at the same time, he wasn't the greatest pitcher for us. He was the 4th or 5th guy, you know. But you know what I mean? Like, you're looking at Kyle Hendricks, like, but then like I said, you go down the line and you look at, you know, we had Fowler as the leadoff.
And I mean, you're throwing out names, but they did not produce very well. You guys got shut out.
Again, we're talking about a Cleveland team. We're talking about your.
I know a Cleveland a team that had 4 pitchers out. Their 4 main pitchers were out, and you struggled against that.
Don't disagree, but you know, at the same time, like to me, like the Cubs in that 2016 World Series, also, like, you go look at the team, and I've said it many times, like they were a long ball team in 2016 without home runs, which, you know, eventually every pitcher and, you know, everybody nowadays, they've changed their release points. All the pitching is different,
right?
You know, with the new pitches, what the hell is the new pitch that is like
the sweeper?
Yeah,
not
like
it's a slider.
Yeah, but like I said, like it changes the release point. You know, Bryant's uppercut swing. You know, and that's another problem. You know, is we had batters who were prima donnas on the 2016 team and didn't want to listen to the hitting coach when he was basically telling them, like, look, your swing is ineffective because they're changing the release point. Well, fine, go to a different team, and now all of a sudden you see, like,
because Brian's dad was his hitting coach. Yeah, Brian's dad was his hitting coach, and he's like, nope, I'm going to listen to my dad. I'm going to go in the cage with my dad, and he's going to fix my swing. How's he doing over there, Serg?
He's playing golf in the dirt.
Exactly that.
Why we got rid of him.
Exactly that. Schwarber, we knew what he was. He's a softball player. If he connects, that ball's going to the moon. And we seen that. He was a hero in the World Series. That's what he does.
We were talking off air that, like, when Kyle Schwarber first came up, I loved him because he had a great eye and he was getting on base by walk. And then all of a sudden, like, he got hurt, came back, and I don't know, like, if his vision was impaired or what, but, like, he wasn't the same guy. He wasn't getting the walks. He was Sammy Sosa out there, strikeout or home run. Take your pick.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm reading an interesting point here where someone said the pitching didn't dominate, the bullpen was dominate, but the starters were average at best with in 5, because Cubs would win in 5 because Jake, John, and Kyle are better, and our lineup would feast on. I think they meant feast on the Sox starters. So
I agree that the bullpen for the Cubs was good. And I think the starters that you did have were not ground ball pitchers. They're fly ball pitchers. And Lester, you've seen, get lit up, right? You don't know which Lester you're going to get. If you get dominant Lester, he's throwing for the guys to get, you know, he's throwing to contact to get it on the floor. If he's not doing that, he's getting lit up. And you've seen that because, I mean, I've watched those Cubs games and he got lit up. And, you know, obviously, this is all fantasy. If we can put this into a PlayStation or an Xbox, and run it 100 simulations on a 7-game series, I would love to do that, but I don't have a PlayStation or Xbox of that caliber or that game. So I don't.
Fans, if you're listening and you
Yes.
have a Xbox and you want to do this for us,
Please do. Please do. Please do.
so that we can settle this one.
We can settle this. I just feel like we had more of a complete team 1 through 9. They weren't the best hitters, but you guys, most of our hitters were getting on base and not striking out. So
and back to your good point is, and I'll give Jose his flowers on this one. It appears people agree with him, is where Guillen knew when to pull his starters. Madden didn't. And it appears that is overwhelming what the responses are on here. However, it still goes back to the Cubs still have better hitters and probably would have, because we had a better bullpen.
But better pitching outlasts better hitting.
You did have better starters, but our bullpen was still better.
Yeah, with that 2016 team, it was with the 2016 team, it was always like, hey, we might be down, but we're never out.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that 2016 team, like we could be down by 7, and then all of a sudden it was like home run here, home run there, and like we're winning again. So and we saw that in the final game.
I believe both teams had that kind of mentality that you're never out. You know, we were down 6-2, and then put up 4, and they put up 2, and then we won. We put up 1 in the bottom of the 9th. So they both had that never quit mentality, and that's what made both of those series super exciting. I really think if you match up, we can probably finish this next week where we can go, manager, pitching, hitting, bullpen, where we can actually break this down with more knowledge with a week in advance. I think we'll have a little bit more fun with this.
Like I was gonna say, like I said, we can definitely do that, because to me, like I'll argue Benny the Jet and Dexter Fowler were easily like the 2 most important players. Like on the Cubs, because if Fowler went, if Fowler went, the Cubs went.
Yeah.
If Fowler was struggling, the Cubs struggled.
Yeah.
And Benny just hitting and getting the ball in play and getting on base was huge. Like I said, it's the Javiers and the Bryants and those guys that were swinging for the fence that just kind of held the Cubs back during those series where, like I said, they're not giving up the home runs in the playoffs.
No, that's and
they are in the regular season.
Yeah, and before we jump off this topic, because I know we're running a little long on the tooth today, we had a former World Series, two-time MVP, former MVP that was on the team that was hurt that year and didn't get to play in Frank Thomas. So, I mean, can you imagine having Frank Thomas on the team, backing up Paul Konerko and Jermaine Dye? I mean, that changes the dynamic. So, if we can put both teams in a simulator, somebody please do this for us.
What? And if we're gonna go back to that, we had Jake Arrieta, we had Trevor Cahill, and Trevor Cahill was no slouch.
No,
he did put up some good numbers, and I hate to say this, Carl Edwards Jr. did produce when he needed to produce.
Pie Face?
Carl Edwards Jr.
Yeah, Pie Face. That's what his nickname was.
You call him Pie Face? Why you call him
that was his nickname. I didn't give him that nickname. His nickname was Pie Face. How do I know this and I'm a Sox fan? Come on.
There's Mike Montgomery. So you know what?
Mike Montgomery's a decent bullpen guy. He's a coach now.
The one that used to agitate the hell out of me, Pedro Strop. Couldn't stand him. Travis Wood was still putting up some good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest left fielder of all time.
And then we have your then we had and then our hitters Zobrist, Russell, Rizzo, Estella, and then you have Bryant, Baez.
Again, that's you being a homer. That's because Estella wasn't that great. You're being a homer.
No, Estella was actually decent.
No, to me, again, our hitters, like I said, it was Fowler and Zobrist were the guys hitting, getting on base. Like I said, Javier and Bryant, Rizzo did really well. But like I said, Bryant and Javier Contreras was hit or miss. Like I said, like some of
Javier was there for defense. And wasn't he playing second base at that point? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I thought he was
because
shortstop.
Addison
No.
Russell was that short.
Yeah, Addison Russell was that short.
Yeah.
Come on.
You're right.
Serge, come on.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to take that Cub hat away from you.
All I remember is this.
Although-
When he was doing the little bike signal, that's all I remember from Addison Russell. He kind of disappointed me in his personal life.
Yeah.
So, but we had Alomar Jr., we had Dexter Fowler, we had Jason Hayward, who was actually really good with
Yes.
defense.
Yeah, he was good with his speech and during the rain delay.
And I can't say that. And then Jorge Soler.
Whatever, man. That speech got us over the
It
top.
did. It really did. Because he did
And then
nothing
he had-
that series. He did nada that series.
And
No,
then Jorge Soler.
So
Hayward
Soler was one of
never
my
the
favorite.
same after
guys.
getting hit in the face by the ball. So
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. All right, we can pick this up next week and with more stats.
someone run the simulations so that we can have an answer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Uh-oh.
All right, boys, let's get out of here. We're at what is an hour and a half, so let's get out of here. These listeners are getting tired of us
plus
arguing.
the 15 or 20 minutes you and I were talking alone.
Well, it's on the
that
audio
supposedly
version. We're
was
good on the
not
audio version. Sorry, people on YouTube, and sorry, people that are going to watch it. The first 13 minutes, it got cut out. So, all right, y'all, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. A big thank you to our sponsors, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Get your shirts at gritclothingco.com and type in TCSF podcast. You can find our shirts on there. TrueFan15 is your code for 15% off your entire order. Go over there and get your shirts. You can check out Steven's show, even though he's not here. The No Water in the Weekend show. Don't bother. Oh, wow.
He's missed 2 episodes now. Like,
He is.
Why
He's
am I supporting him?
We're gonna have to do a wellness check. I'll send the police officers over to check on him.
Sure,
check on him.
we
Yeah.
respond to Mr. Israel Angel de Leon, who sent us a message, and I don't think we ever responded to him.
Oh boy. Yeah, you can check out No Water in the Weekend every Monday with Steven and Sean. Shout out to Ronesh, Panic, Serious Beats, and Custom Made. We played the beats on today's audio version of the show. Check out paniconthebeat.com for moment merch and gear. Serge, where can they find us on Twitter? What is our Twitter handle?
I believe it's TCSF Pod on Twitter.
There you go. You could tweet Serge. He is engaging. He will talk back to you. Of course.
Not rudely. Mama taught me right.
Tweet at me at JC Dynasty FF. I have no problem being non-PG on Twitter.
There you go. There you go.
I'll be PG here, but off of here, catch me on Twitter.
There you go.
I will roast you.
There you go. I love it, JC. You can find me.
Hashtag cancer.
Yeah,
cancer.
That's right. I'm at Big Z _606 Media for all my socials. You can reach us out at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. You got a suggestion for a topic, or you just want to send us a message, or you want to send us some money. You can always do that too.
and or send us some fan questions. We
Yes.
love answering fan questions.
Definitely.
On air, we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah.
Bring us some fan questions.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. All right, y'all. For JC and No Sweat Surge, I am Big Z. We'll see you next time for episode 179. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.
A few moments later.
You have a lot of incest.
That's real.
Shut your mouth. Lover boy.
Nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins.
I think he's on steroids.
Hasta luego, amigos. Show's over, show's over, show's over.